We are streaming live on Zoom and on YouTube, and it is my pleasure and honor to be here today with you to broadcast this with you live, to all of you here now and to all of you in the replay as well. So gather in, let us know where you're calling in from, where you're dialing in from, your name and location. And let's feel the energy of us all that are arriving here for Witches Reclaiming the Round Table Global Online Summit. And during this summit, we are calling in the new wave of witches and sorcerers as we are returning home to the ancient source of our divine truth. And in this summit, we're opening sacred space for the witches, the wise ones, the healers, to take our seat once again beside the knights of the round table. So in this summit, we're inviting the witches back onto center stage, where we belong and where we've always belonged, to sing our sacred soul songs once again, and to walk the witches' way home. So this is a grand reclamation of the rising of the deep witch gnosis that is so needed now as we step forth into the age of gold. And I am the creator, the hostess with the mostess of this summit. We've gathered so many beautiful, mind-altering, life-changing, pioneering, way-showing speakers who have gathered and said yes to be here at the round table and to join me in this exploration of what this is when we do step forth as a witch, as a wise one, as a healer, and bring all these elements back, all these parts of us that may have been shunted to the side, suppressed, forgotten, hidden, destroyed. And we invite all of these back to sit at the round table. So I am a soul-based coach, I'm a sacred storyteller, I am a sorcerer, earth witch, and I am here today to guide you in to find your place at the round table. I run a 12-month mentorship for witches program, which is open now for registration if you feel called, where we do walk the Celtic witches wheel home to source. So let's open our sacred space here by lighting a candle if you do have one available. And as we do so, to ground into this space, we invite in the elementals of fire, of air through voice, of earth grounding into our indigenous roots, souls to soil upon the land that we walk, and the lands that we once walked together in ancient times. And we invite your roots to sink down and unfurl into the soil, into the turf, the boglands of our lands, past the rivers and rocks and gems and crystals and underground caves and tree ancestors, so that we can deeply connect to this land and the landscape of our inner witch knowing, to rebuild and strengthen our foundations for this journey that we are embarking on, this pilgrimage, this Imran, as the Irish like to call it, this journey home to sovereign truth. And with the calling in of the fire and the earth elementals, the air through our voice, we also call in the water, the sacred and ancient primordial well waters of wisdom, where the memories are held, the memories of our ancestors, the memories of our ancient earth, cosmic, galactic wisdom. And it's also connected to the Cailleach witch in the wild Atlantic waters, to the salty tears that want to flow, to help release any of the stuckness, of the tension, of the density that resides in our human vessels. We invite in the 4 elementals and the 5th of ether, the spirit. We also invite in the witches, the Council of High Witches, those that once walked the land and do again through us, through all of you that are gathering here. We invite you in now to support us and surround us in your circle of love, of non-judgment, and to hold this space for us, with us, as we explore and feel in again and get used to, get to know again, remember what it's like to be here at the round table as witches that are gathering in circle again with the return of the witches' coven. So we invite in your presence, dear witches, including the chief witch herself, Her Majesty, the Cailleach witch. She who has guided me so much on this journey of my witch awakening. And she who prods and cajoles me to continue to speak the truths that are flowing through me. And in fact, yesterday, as I was kind of getting slightly nervous about today and how it would go, her words were to tear up the script and let the divine wisdom flow through me. That divine wisdom. So trusting, yes, Michelle, that the wisdom will flow and what's shared is the right things that will be shared. And as one of my soul sisters said, it's not about me or performing in any way. It's about the gathering and the sharing and the remembering. And with that, it is the time of Samhain, which is the Celtic New Year, which is a beautiful time to release and step in to the new as we step forth, first foot forward onto the soul path that we wish to take. And at Samhain, it is the time where we feel even closer to our ancestors, to those who walk with us now and guide us on this journey, who ask us to complete what maybe they didn't get to complete when they were here in human form, and also to share their wisdom of what they now know from the other world, from the spirit world. So ancestors, we invite you to join us amongst the witches that are here supporting us at the round table as we move closer. We invite our spirit guides, our animal helpers, the star beings, and the planets that we know and don't know of, the galaxies, and the wisdom that flows from the cosmos. So that we're connected now in circle, global circle, in the here and now, to our earthen roots, grounded deeply to our cosmic roots. Cosmically earthed, is that what you call it? Highly connected to the higher powers that be. And that we are connected here to our human body so that we may listen to the truths that are being spoken from the inside out. And at this time of Samhain, we invite in Clochta, an ancient primordial goddess who resides over this time, whose energies are so strong now. And her place is the Hill of Ward, what was known and still is known by many as Clochta's Hill in Ireland, which is connected to the Hill of Tara, that sacred place that many of you probably know and may have been to Ishnach, the centre, the sacred centre of Ireland, where Eru dances around her catstone, and also to Telltown, the place of Talchu, the grain mother. So Clocta, we invite you and your energies to draw us together now as you cast your ring of fire, of golden light around this circle, so that we are protected here in this space, so that we can sink even deeper into the knowing of why you're here and what you are calling forth now at this time. Clocta, join us now in this space with your father, Mog Rua, Mog of the Wheel, the magician, the Merlin of Ireland, who taught you all you knew. And Mog Rua and Clocta went on their own pilgrimages across the ley lines and the energy lines of the lands around Ireland, and also around our earth, Mother Earth. And they received and learned the wisdom and the mystery teachings from many of our ancients who we may know or not know. And there is a connection to Yeshua, to Jesus, where they went to Jerusalem, to the Holy Lands, to learn these sacred mysteries, many of which have been written out of his story, written out of the texts and hidden in safe spaces for these times where the scrolls can be unfurled to reveal the true meaning, the true mysteries that we are oh so ready for now at this time. And it has just started to rain as Clocta casts her wheel of fire of protection around us now. And we remember with the fire also the sacred waters may fall from the skies to wash away our weariness in the well waters of time and to cleanse us for this journey ahead. Hello, Anami. It's lovely to have you here. How are you? So let's ground in to this place. Let us drink. Let us feast. And let us continue. And hopefully to those of you on YouTube, you can chat as well, because I see there are many watching over on YouTube too. So hello to you. And let's see who's here. I see all these comments coming up, which is so exciting. Hi, Michelle from Suffolk in the UK, Fatima from Sweden, Wynne from Ireland. Hi, Northern Ireland. Kath from London. Jan from Hay on Way. How do you pronounce that? I didn't know that's where you actually lived, Jan. Hello. Hello, Nat from Suffolk as well. We've got a few coming in from Suffolk here. The witchy magic is here. Hello, Queen. I can just see Queen. Queen? Hello, Queen. Hi, Wynne from Northern Ireland. Viz from Worthing, lovely to have you here. Brenda from England. Hello, Annabelle from Coffs Harbour in Australia. Lovely to have you here. And we are entering Samhain, and of course you are entering Bealtaine as the days get longer and brighter for you. So I love your energies are here to balance us on this wheel, on this witch's wheel home. Hello, Janine in Yorkshire. Hi, Erica, fellow soul-based coach and witch. Absolutely. From Saarbrücken in Germany. Hello. Hi, Michelle again. Cheryl on fire. Cheryl will be speaking to you tomorrow live. So please come and join us then. Hello, Mikelai from Finland. Hello. And Annemie from Leuven in Belgium, or Louvain in Belgium. Hello, Alma from Ireland. Hello, Jan from Massachusetts. You are up early. We are an hour closer because America doesn't change to summertime until tomorrow. So we're an hour closer today. Hello, Alicia from Australia. Hello, Breege from Ireland. Hi. Veronica from South Africa. Sabina from Slovenia. Petra from the Netherlands. Charlotta from Finland. Hi, Charlotta. Lovely to have you all here. Keep the comments and the chat going. Yeah, as we sink in. So this summit comprises of 23 conversations. It is my 4th global online summit that I've created each year. It wasn't the plan, it's just how things unfurl and unfold. My first summit in 2019 was about feminine leadership. And I mention this because today we're circling back to this in new ways of leading in the circular way, where we are inviting in the wholeness and the balance of the feminine and masculine energies back to leadership. So that was where's the F in leadership, or where's the F in leadership? And this particular summit, it completes the trilogy of 3 summits that you may have attended over the last 2-3 years, first being Healing the Witch Wound in 2020, just after I had my Witch Awakening on the Lionsgate 2020. And last year it was Witches Rise Up, because that was the mantra that the Cailleach Witch and the witches of Edinburgh Castle Esplanade whispered, shouted, hollered to me. Witches, rise up, return to your power. Witches, rise up, now is the hour. Witches, rise up and step on to your throne. Witches, rise up, it's time to come home. And today, we are coming home as we reclaim our seat at the round table, and your throne is waiting for you to reclaim, whether it is the stone throne of the Cailleach that sits at our sacred site in Lough Crew in Ireland's ancient east, or whether it is another kind of throne. The throne I'm seeing is a beautiful red velvet seat that is calling to me now. So this completes the trilogy, and with every completion in the triple spiral of life, death, rebirth, it is a rebirthing into the new at Samhain, at Celtic New Year. So where do we start? We've already started. However, today is the day of Guy Fawkes on the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November. And you may have read my blog post recently where I've always felt a bit funny on this day. Not funny, ha, kind of funny, weird energies, having lived and worked here in Scotland for the last 22 years, born and bred in Ireland, in Dublin, with my ancestries in Dingle, County Kerry, and in West Cork in Ireland, where my mother and father come from. So I feel very much rooted to the lands of Éirú, to Ireland, which is what I'm bringing forth as the Earth Witch, as an Irish Earth Witch, and reclaiming that title and what it means. And at the same time, living here, you notice things with certain perspectives that maybe the locals, the indigenous folk here, maybe don't, I don't know, or maybe you do. It is the day of Guy Fawkes, where fireworks are set off, and I've already heard some bangers and fireworks going off over the last few days, and bonfires are lit on the lands to celebrate the failed attempt to assassinate the king, King James I of England, King James VI of Scotland, the same person with 2 titles, because he was so important. So this assassination attempt was called the Gunpowder Plot, because Guy Fawkes and his comrades tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament in London, and they failed. And that was in 1605. And I knew today that it would be a good time to start our summit, as we are reclaiming and rewriting her back into history. So it felt like a grand reclamation that goes beyond the dogma, that goes beyond the religious wars, that goes beyond the fighting and division and the hatred, that goes beyond the judgment and misunderstandings, so that we can truly be in our power today and create healing fireworks and ignite sparks of remembrance within all of us. So we remember all of these characters and protagonists that are part of this play out of his story. And we remember, oh, it's hard to say this, but I feel I have to, that we remember King James. For he was a key protagonist in the persecution of the witches. I can feel my throat as I'm saying that. And also John Knox, who was one of the writers of the Scottish Witchcraft Act of 1563, which officially made it legal to execute witches, people of the craft. So therefore it was illegal to practice the crafts of the witches, which is ancient, which existed before the creation of Earth herself, which is this immense, mysterious connection to all that is, to the universal knowings and truths. And that resides within each one of us. And it felt important to speak their names so that, personally for me, they no longer have power over me. They no longer have power over you. As we reclaim the fullness of who we are, which includes looking in to the horrific, awful atrocities that have happened and that are continuing to happen. In the name of what? In the name of what? So I asked in that blog post, what are we truly celebrating today? Because effigies of Guy Fawkes are burnt at the stake, are burnt in the Samhain bonfires. And it seems like a weird kind of celebration for me to burn anybody, effigy or not, effing or blinding or whatever. And the word bonfire actually comes from the 15th century word of fire of bones, bone fire. Because those who are on the wrong side of the law, which included those accused of witchcraft, the witches, were burnt at the stake. And their human form would be reduced to bones and ash. So any so-called criminals, anyone who broke the law as it was in those times, would be set alight. Bone fire, bonfire. I learned that on my trip to Orkney with the family recently in October, stopping off at Dornoch, where there is a stone with a year 1922 inscribed in the stone in somebody's garden, ironically looking out to the beautiful Dornoch beach, in remembrance to Janet Horn, who was burnt on that exact spot. And I went to pay, throat clearing through speaking, I went to pay my respects. In fact, it was my husband who realised there was a stone there. It was a stop-off point to stretch our legs on the way to Orkney, for the dog as well, to give him a walk. And as I went to pay my respects, I went to the museum there too and learned this about the bone fire, bonfire. And why I mention this now is also to call in those named and unnamed who were so horrifically and brutally persecuted in those times. And it includes Guy Fawkes and his comrades, because they too were horrifically tortured and imprisoned. And you can look this up on the internet. I'm not going to go into this now. It can be traumatizing, to be honest. And it's not something I wanted to look at for a few years of my witch awakening, really until this year. For this, we need our deep roots and foundations and the support of everyone that's here today. But we remember those named and unnamed, including Janet Horn, that we hear you and we see you and we feel your energies. And we are here to reignite the remembrance and the wisdom and the craft of the witches, that you so ably and knowingly practiced. We remember you all here today. So remember the 5th of November. We're reclaiming what we choose to remember today. May we take this day back in honor of the witches of then and now and the future. And I raise my Scottish tap water to all of you and the witches. I would wish to move on now and speak about the hammer. The hammer. This was gifted to me by my friend, Joyce, who does my hair. And she just happened to have a hammer lying around in her house and gave it to me, because this is a significant tool. I've come to the realization over the last few weeks. Because as I clutch the hammer, yes, Michelle, the hammer of power, as I hold this, it is like the hammer, like a torch for me and for all of you. As I hold the wooden craftspersonship of this hammer that was crafted, I contemplate the uses of the hammer over the course of his story and now her story as I hold it here. Because my witch awakening happened when I went on mock witch trial at the Edinburgh Dungeons in August 2020. And as I stood there and looked up to the wig-wearing judge on his wooden pulpit, as he raised his hammer into the air and crashed it down on the wooden pulpit, sentencing me to death for witchcraft, that connection of the hammer with the wooden pulpit was the wake-up call for me. It's like I needed that extra hammer, that extra bit of force to awaken the ignition of the flame of remembrance within me, to awaken this witch knowing within me. So I view the hammer as a tool of awakening. And of course, it's been used as a tool of repression, and still is in ways. Because ultimately, no offense to people who practice or are in the law industry, no offense to the legal industry. Of course, we need our divine rules and laws as boundaries, as structures. We need the structure to maintain order and so that chaos can thrive and flow within that and dance within that. Yeah, we need that. And at the same time, the hammer has been used against us, particularly witches who were sentenced to death at the hands of the law, when the lore was stripped from us. The oral lore was written down and distorted in many ways, or not written at all. And this wisdom and these stories and these knowings were severed from our souls and our connection to source. So this hammer has been used against us, many of us. Maybe you feel it now, the force and veracity of this wooden crafted implement and tool. So I want to acknowledge that it's important to acknowledge this, and it's important to speak of the hammer and the reclamation as well. Because yes, and someone's put it in the chat about the witch's hammer, which set me on a whole contemplation journey of the witch's hammer, which was used against us as witches. So we had the judges and the legal profession against us, out to get us for practicing what came natural to us. So we had to close down and hide and shut off to live and to stay safe. we had to disconnect and become separate from the covens, from where we met and from where were the places where we recharged. Like today is a space and a place where we come and commune and recharge at the round table, which we will come on to in this live broadcast shortly. But first, the hammer wants to speak. Because as I hold this hammer, and as I speak and have spoken at my own witch's pulpit and reclaimed that pulpit, to me it is like a power infusion and a power with the mysteries and what wants to be spoken. And because it's made of wood, it helps keep me grounded in this place, to speak the fierce healing words of truth that want to flow forth now. And it's also like a torch, for we are here showing up today to hold the torch and to be the torch, so that we can shine the light into the darkness, into these places that we may have shut off or forgotten they even exist within us, to shine the light of the fire of the torch into these dark places, so that we can reclaim our wholeness at the round table. And also to hold the torch for all those who do not feel safe at this time to speak and share their truth. For those who continue to be persecuted for what they bring forth because of where they may live or the culture on the lands where they reside. So we also remember you and speak for you as well, because witches connect. We can connect telepathically. It's why the synchronicities happen. It's why you're here today. We've all called in each other to be here now. So that's the hammer. And there's more to the story as well, because last week on our Witches Protected retreat, which some of you here attended and was run by myself and two other witches who will be live speakers, Laura Bird, who's speaking at 1 o'clock today, and Cheryl Prince, who's speaking at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And during a meditation journey that Cheryl was guiding us on, I had this vision that came of my grandfather, my father's father, who was a blacksmith in West Cork, and also a savvy businessman. So the stories go. I didn't meet him. He died, passed away in the 60s. But he came forth, and the line of goddesses and witches that were supporting all of us in our circle at the time parted, just like the seas parted. And there he was in his powerful form, holding the hammer. And he gifted me the hammer. He handed me his hammer as his blacksmith's tool. He was a farrier, so he put the hooves on the horses, a very important role in the village. And also it was a place where the community met and stopped off and shared the oral lore of what was going on. So it was a very important role in the village that he had. But also he was very adept in using and crafting his hands, his fingers, which are an extension of voice and expression and creativity. The hammer on the anvil, the hammer and the anvil, igniting the sparks of alchemy within. So it feels very sacred and emotional to share that he handed me the tools that are part of my lineage and family, to reclaim these and use these for the strength that they gift, for the power, width that they bring, and for the creation energy that they are calling forth. So the tools of the farrier the forgotten tools of the farrier, the gifts of the blacksmith. It's also connected to Bridget, the triple goddess of the time of Imbolc, where we plant the seeds, because she is the smith crafter, the crafter of the smith, who crafts the words that rise up from the flames of the fire elemental. So the hammer has been reclaimed now. Thank you all for listening. And just one more point that I want to bring in about the hammer that had been used. You know, you hear the phrase, "Hi Diane, fire," of like that was the final nail in the coffin that was hammered in, and how it was used to hammer and nail those to the cross. Those so-called criminals who were nailed to the cross and left there to die. So the most famous story, if you've been brought up with religion, I was raised Catholic, is Jesus and Yeshua and his crucifixion that is remembered. And it's very evident when you go into churches or any sacred places. It's one of the reasons why I had to stop going in actually to our local church here in Scotland, because there's a giant crucifix there with Yeshua on the cross. And I realized that I knew I had to be part of this changing of the spotlight, of where we are focusing the spotlight. Are we going to continue to focus on the suffering and the pain and the shame and the sadness of these stories and occurrences in history? Yes, we remember. Yes, we are healing. Yes, we are rising from the flames and transforming. And I knew I had to be part of this new wave of witches and sorcerers that are rising from the flames to resurrect the truth. Resurrect. Yeah, we are going to unite, not fight. Absolutely, Michelle. So while the suffering, we're not bypassing this, it has happened. We feel it. We feel it in our bones, in our cells, in the DNA, in the blood that runs through us, in the bloodlines connected to our ancestry. We know that and we're healing that. And we can choose to focus on the rising up and the resurrecting. Because these ancient practices were practiced by the Essenes, by the Knights Templar, by Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. These ancient practices are what we are being called to tap into now, to resurrect the truth within each one of us, to uncover the hidden gems and wisdom that lies within you, that only you can bring forth. We have 44 people here live on Zoom. We have 30 people, and loads of comments, here live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. I got distracted by the hammer and the resurrection, just some light topics that we're talking about today. Crafting our world. Yes, yes, we are. So we can choose where we focus our attention. And what I say is that we can get sucked into the wound. It's so tempting. We can get sucked in and down. And we've got to know how to unstuck ourselves, and get out so that we can continue to rise. Because the ancient mysteries talk about this, about how our ancients went into the sacred chambers, especially at this time of Samhain and winter solstice, into places like Newgrange, Brunabonia, comprising of She on Brew, Newgrange, Nouth and Douth. They went into these places that were astronomically aligned, into the dark womb of the mother, into the womb at the center of our earth, at the center of the universe and cosmos, into the darkness. So that then we could commune with the darkness and the mysteries and receive the transmissions that are ours to receive in order to emerge into the light. It's said after 3 days On the third day, he rises again. On the third day, we rise again, renewed, rebirthed at higher states of consciousness. And we will come on to the round table in the age of gold, as I like to call it, the elemental of gold, of what are these higher states of consciousness that feel good and right and truthful and sacred and honest within us. And then from that place, we share. We share when we dare to care. We share these truths, which is why at the beginning I said I was guided to tear up the script and let the divine wisdom flow through. And this is it. This is it. Daring to share and knowing that it's safe now, because we are surrounded by so many helpers and supported, seen and unseen, felt and unfelt as well. And I'll just take a moment here before we go deeper into this story to just remember to ground in and let all this flow through you. And also to notice what's alive for you now as I'm sharing this, as these words resonate and flow through you. And as we are connected here around the globe, across the timelines, live and in the replay. And that we are emerging moment to moment, reborn, renewed, with new insights that are sparked through words or phrases or what's been shared here today, through comments in the chat and through the connection. And with our breath, we continue to ground in to Mother Earth as she supports us. So I'll take a moment here, a chat break, to chat amongst yourself and to say hi to everyone here on YouTube. Hello, Beth. Hello, Maria. Hello, Ruthie from Australia. Hi, Beth from Rainy South. Valerie, dia gwitch, canas atatu. Tá hintach that you are here today. Jen, hello. Hello, Micah from the Netherlands. Beth is in South Wales, in England, in the UK. Wet and windy Shropshire. Yeah, very rainy here. Maybe it'll quench the bonfires that are being lit tonight. Hello, Sally. Hello, Denise. Hello, Katarzyna from Poland. Hi, Valerie. Feeling the energy move as you told the story of reclaiming the hammer. Yeah. So powerful. Maria, rising up, building the new and shifting from fear to love. Yeah. Valerie, we are meant to rise and resurrect here in this life. Everything is pointing to that, isn't it, Valerie? Yes, everything is pointing to that. And I'll share a short story of how that's pointing, what direction that's pointing at for me. And just take a moment here on Zoom chat. When feel and release and open ourselves to our magic of the future. Yes. And Wynn is also speaking in our summit today on day 4. And what you share, Wynn, is so, so magical and synchronistic. Feeling the power of the connection right here and right now. And Michelle saying hi to everyone on YouTube. Diane, good morning from Michigan. Hello. Oh, and Denisa from Atlanta in the United States. I love that. It just reminds me of Atlantis. Oh, and connecting of the waters that another one of our speakers talks about, Atlantis and Lemuria, and connecting these waters again. Hi, Rennie from the Rocky River in the USA. How gorgeous. And hi, Diane, as well. I love this interaction that we can have here. So a little more on the resurrection. And maybe some of you have heard this before, but I'll share some of this again, that when my father was dying of cancer back in 1994, February 1994, and we knew it was coming, and a healer had come in. It was like the last chance saloon, like, see what miracles and magic this healer can work. And he'd been known to heal. He healed himself from MS and had healed others as well. So he was the real deal. And he spent time with my father in his hospital bed as he was laying there. And when I arrived in the hospital in my teenage form, I just remember just noticing and feeling this glow, like I'd entered into this sacred space, this sacred healing space that had been taking place. And his cheeks were so rosy, and it was like he was glowing. He was aglow. And he was lying there, and I just felt, feeling into this now, felt his acceptance and knowing that his mortal time here on earth was coming to a close in the loop of the spiral of his life at that time, and the continuation of his life in other forms in the spirit world. And as I entered, whether he knew I was there or not, he did know. I had arrived in the room, his third daughter, and he pointed up to the ceiling of the hospital and said twice, resurrection. And then again, resurrection, looking up. And I remember that moment and just filed it away, thinking, how odd to say that at that time, and went on with my life. And then 3 days later, which I've only recently connected with with the help of a soul sister here, that 3 days later, I think it was 3 days, that I woke in the early hours of the morning in my bedroom at home in Dublin that I share with my eldest sister. And as I woke, in that space between waking and dreaming, there he stood at the end of my bed, my father, suited and booted, as if he was waking me to get ready for his funeral. Now the timelines have merged and converged for me, and I believe it was just before his funeral. So we hadn't yet had the ceremony and the service to celebrate his life and his death. But there he was, so real and so full of form, that it was like him, that I thought he hadn't died, that I thought he hadn't taken his final breath in the hospital. A couple of days after, saying resurrection. And as well in that moment, once I realized it was a visitation and he was there in spirit form, it was like the full force of that knowing and grief hit me. Oh my goodness, he really has died. He's no longer here in human form. But what he was showing me, that I'm only connecting the dots with now, over 28 years later, is that yes, remember that word, resurrection, that I told you. And here I am now in spirit form to guide you. And the hospital where he died was called Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel. And this is where, it's not where, but it's the name of the mountain that the Michael ley line points to. It's said that Michael, Archangel Michael, pointed his sword from Skellig Michael, an island off the southwest of Ireland, all the way over to Mount Carmel, towards the Holy Land, uniting the masculine and feminine mysteries so that we may come back into wholeness and balance. And also connecting and clearing the way, I can feel this in my heart now, to open up and receive the mysteries and the messages that are flowing forth now for this time. So that we too, as we step into the age of gold, the golden age, that we too act out and speak and live into these mysteries as they flow through us in higher states, emerging into higher states of consciousness, like the living resurrection practices that our ancients and more recent ancestors practiced and are pointing us towards. This is our way out and through. This is our way to rise up above the density of everyday life and all that has been broadcast and hurled at us on a moment-by-moment basis, just in our everyday living. So this is our way that we can protect ourselves as we become more used to inhabiting these higher stations, the stations of the cross. It's like the stations of stepping beyond the crossroads and reclaiming our truth, which is the center of the cross of the wheel in the Celtic medicine wheel, which is the 5th province of Ireland, which is the place of power, the center of the round table that unites us all. Because when we step in and realize the sacredness of these mysteries of the rising up and resurrecting the truth within us, then there is no conflict. It dissolves, and the judgment dissolves, and it becomes much easier to see beyond the veil and to hear the divine wisdom flowing through us. So that's the hammer, the resurrection, and now the round table, resurrecting and reclaiming our place at the round table as we step into this age of gold. Now, I want to share a little bit about gold and the round table, because the Cailleach witch, who we have to mention again, Her Majesty the Queen Cailleach witch, before I came on here, I remembered the crown that has been gifted to me and all of us to wear this crown and queen ourselves again in the divine queendom that we reside in. Gold. When you go to the museum, when I go to the Museum of Archaeology in Dublin, the last time I was there, they spoke of this golden torque lunula that was worn by our ancients and rested upon the heart area to heal and open the heart to connect to the divine wisdom. And she explained to the tour guide that they were so thinly crafted, most likely with ancient hammers and chisels and stones. Also, I believe the hammer was used to craft the spirals and ancient symbolism in the stones. There's so many in Ireland and all around the world, of course. The golden lunula that had been found was wrapped up. It was rolled up and placed in a bog, held by the bog, held by the tree ancestors and preserved until it was found and then brought back to life. It was sleeping there. So the bogs preserve the ancient trees, they preserve, and this gold is such a noble, stable form that doesn't corrode even when it's in the bog for thousands of years. And when we connect with this elemental, this here is gold from Orkney, actually, that I got many, many years ago, and it's silver on the other side. So it reminds me of the alchemy and the healing powers of these divine elementals, gold, silver, whether we adorn our bodies with these and wear these as metal, as elementals from and of the earth, or as colors, as lighting, or whether we visualize these colors. The Cailleach reminds me of the Cailleach golden codes to support us in resurrecting our golden truths now. So that's gold as the very high vibrational elemental that we are connecting in with here when we share these stories, and remembering the vision of the round table, which I feel will be the final part of this live broadcast. It's amazing where you go when you know, let the divine flow through you and resurrect the truth in this way. because the final part of this gathering and discussion is that we are here, witches, reclaiming our seat at the round table. And it was a vision that came to me last November, because the witches had been so present in my life after the witch awakening, in communing and connecting with who are they and what does this mean. You know, my logical head we love to derive and find the meaning in this. And then the Knights Templar stepped in, the Knights, because of course it is the divine feminine and the divine masculine coming together in divine union. And in fact, one of our very final live calls on the 11/11 is about the sacred marriage from Henrietta and Chris, who are in Australia. So it feels like a really lovely circle of completion. Just before then, my final live call, which will be on 11/11 at 4 p.m. UK time. And this vision that I had last November was of a clearing in a sacred, beautiful place in nature, where the trees were effervescent emerald green, where the fairies, the winged ones, were flying or riding on horseback, tiny, and floating about and just delighted to be free from the land, from their places of hiding under the mounds. Emerald green, such a beautiful heart-opening colour. And there we were. There were the knights up ahead at the round table portal. And in my vision, it was a table. And as you go on and listen to many of the talks in this summit, you will discover more of how this round table is a portal, is a magical portal that we can choose to sit at or step into and through. And there were the knights. And it was like they were, you know, looking at their ancient watches going, oh, it's about bloody time. You're late. Where have you been? We've been waiting here. The table is set. Your goblets are out. Your chalice awaits for you to reclaim your place here at the round table. And it was like half of the table were knights and half were spaces for the witches. Yes. The round table portal, vortex, whirlpool, energetic rebirther, energetic stirrer, the Kaliach, stirring it up until we come to the realizations and listen. So the knights were waiting at the round table for who? For me, for you, for all of us to finally come to the realization that yes, we don't have to do this alone. That's what they wanted. That's what happened in history. We were brutally torn apart, separated, locked up, imprisoned, tortured. It was dangerous to commune and meet in our covens, in the woods, by the trees and the stones, around the fires. It was dangerous. And now the knights were reminding me in that vision that it's now time to step forth and reclaim this seat at the round table. So that's my invitation for you today as well, as I am speaking, to invite you to imagine this sacred space where you are and where you go to. And that your round table, whatever kind of round table it is, that it's important, it's got to be the circle. That you step forth now with all of us here together on Zoom and YouTube. The modern day technology is connecting us to this ancient technology of the round table. I love that. That's clever, isn't it? Thank you, witches, for sharing this. And that we step forth and connect now at the round table. The ancient wisdom for these modern times, the ancient technology to connect and commune with this modern technology and this world that we're in. And as you take your seat, your goblet is there waiting for you to connect with and to drink from. And I do have goblets downstairs that I should have brought. That's for the next one. And just notice what happens for you as you claim your seat. And maybe we'll do some rearranging at the round table. So it's like, which night, which night, which night? Because the fallen witches and the fallen nights, those times or those lives that maybe you remember, that I have remembered and am remembering, where we turned against the craft, the divine sacred craft. And where the gifts that have been given to us, where we use them for not good, bad. And the times where the divine nights became the fallen nights, and where I used my sword, not for good to point the way, but to harm and to smash up the round table. I've had visions and realizations of that too, which have been hard to turn towards and look at. Those lifetimes where I've been the divine witch or the divine knight, and where I've been the distorted witch or distorted knight. And as we sit at the round table and reclaim our seat, we reclaim all of these parts of ourselves. Remember, holding the torch shines the light into the darkness so that we can emerge renewed and reborn and healed and more whole than we have ever been in any lifetime. Because the circle connects. The circle is equal. The circle is where everyone has a space to speak and share their voice. And where we all listen to you as you step forward and speak. It's where we commune and share our truths, our similarities and differences in harmony and balance. And of course, there will be disagreements and conflicts. However, in the circle, we all reconcile these parts of ourselves and amongst ourselves. It is a technology of reconciliation to call all these parts of ourselves home to the truth of who we are. And that's the important aspect of the circle. And it may have a place within the hierarchy. But I mentioned my very first summit back in 2019. Where's the F in leadership? And you may say it like, where's the F in leadership? You know, whatever tone of voice or emphasis changes the meaning. It's here, and it's been here all along. The Holy Grail that so many have spent their lives looking for. Within the pillars, the apprentice pillar of Rosslyn Chapel. Someone's even dug into the foundations of Rosslyn Chapel in Edinburgh, which is so connected to the Knights Templar, to find the Holy Grail, the chalice, that it's here. It's within us, and the round table reminds us of that. This wisdom and gnosis that is resurrecting and being reclaimed now at the round table. So my parting questions for you is, what happens for you when you reclaim your seat at the round table? And open up to the wisdom of the divine knights and the divine witches, of all this support that is ready here to bring us home to wholeness and to unite and not to fight, as Michelle was commenting there, to bring us home. This is the greatest homecoming as we live into the age of gold, the golden age, so that our sacred stories may unfold and be told again in safety, in the knowledge that they will never be distorted again, that we will never be written out of his story or her story again, and that her stories, including the story of the Cailleach witch, Her Majesty Chief Witch herself, creator of the Celtic lands, that her stories will never be distorted, that they will be rewritten and rewritten in her divine name. So reclaim your crown, reclaim your chalice, your holy grail is within. And the truth that you are wishes to speak through you, for you, with you. And as we sit here or stand around the round table, there is also another round table, the fires of Samhain celebration, that we will end this talk and broadcast at, which is in another clearing in the woods, because you're being called now to come join us around this bonfire, this sacred bonfire, reclaiming the healing elementals of fire, earth, water, air, and ether. And as we dance and commune around the Samhain bonfire at this time, 5th of November 2022, we remember this time as the time of the witches and the time of the nights, when we dance into the darkness of the night. We dance the night away in sacred remembrance and joy of who you are. And the black smoke rises to tell the world and the universe that we are back. We are here. Our hearts and our bellies and our wombs and our sacred places within us, within this holy vessel, are alight and ablaze now. And this flame will never, ever be extinguished again. Because we are here. We are rising. We are reclaiming our throne and our seat at the round table. And the rain has started again to cleanse and purify and purge this space. So may you continue dancing and celebrating and communing, and let all of this that has been shared today, that has flowed through to integrate and land within you. Our next talk is at 1 o'clock with Laura Bird, who will talk about the importance of destruction. And then after that, at 4 p.m, is Denise Alamo, who is bringing in her crystal magical wisdom, including a particular friend of hers and mine called Lulu, the rose quartz crystal that I can't wait for you to meet, because this is the return to love, ultimately, to love for self and others. And the power. Yeah, that was one final thing actually at the round table. When we gather, we feel the energy rising up from this portal, up and down and in all directions when we come together like this. And that's the power of the circle, of the coven, of the round table. Where we feel this energy and remember in here. So we're no longer separate from our bodies. We are home. Oh yeah. So let's see. Let's take a look at your comments as the rain pours down here. Wonderful journey of discovery. What a week we are going to have. It's going to be amazing. Honestly, every single speaker brings a particular piece of wisdom and gnosis of the speaker roundtable that we are going on this journey. And I urge you to listen to as much as you can, show up for the lives as much as you can within your time zones. And lifetime access is also available at £55 now until the 8th of November, the night of the 8th of November, the night when it goes up to £77. So take time to go through the event schedule page. The speakers have gifted amazing free gifts, including particular meditation journeys specifically for this summit, discounts off their courses, enter into draws for free books. Like, yeah, it's just amazing what everyone is gifting for this space. Breathtaking opening. I'm so grateful already to have purchased lifetime access. Incredibly powerful. Thank you so much, Diane. And thank you for investing in yourself so that these sacred conversations continue. It really is transformative, alchemical, quantum work that we are creating. Because at the round table too, then I see the ripples that are contributing and to the healing of our earth, of ourselves and our earth. It's just, yeah, quantum. No longer seeking revenge, but reclaiming our place to complete the circle. Yes. I feel it, absolutely. We are here to stay, absolutely. Thank you, Jan, so magical and beautiful. Thank you, Wynne, for this gift. You've touched my heart so deeply. Blessings for the rest of the summit. Thank you, Wynne. I can't wait for your talk to air on day 4. It's just so many synchronicities in this. Yeah, Sarah's saying, I love that the masculine has been honored as well as the feminine. Absolutely. Because I've gone through that myself with the, yeah, it's just about the women. Come on. We hate the men, you know, like that, like the hammer. Rah! And then that realization of, whoa, this is all part of us as well. Oh, I am married to my divine knight. I better tell him I've called him that live on air, to my husband, and I'm raising 2 girls and a boy. So this divinity, yeah, is there's no more division. We are both. The knight and the witches want to come together, no longer hiding from our magic. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for your beautiful comments. So beautiful. And just before we leave, and I love your emojis as well, Michelle. Woo, I mean, we've just gone past 11:11 here, which I love. Let's see. Let's go over to YouTube. Beautiful dream reality about your dad. Yeah, it really was. And the connections to the messages, yeah, which continue. And know that, everyone, that these connections are continuing to be woven in this worldwide web of recollection of our wisdom. Oh, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So much gratitude. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all. Share this summit, share this talk, and I will see you again on the next live talk, which is in, less than 2 hours, You will receive quite a number of emails from me that I've set up to remind you of the live talks and the daily schedule. So it is more emails than you would usually get from me, but bear with me so that we can continue to create this energy in this container of the summit. And remember, Clochta keeps that Samhain fire wheel open for you to protect you on this journey. Michelle, we can never have enough Eimear in our lives. I love your play on words as well. That's really good. Thank you all. It's been beautiful and cathartic and transformational, and it's my honor to be here as your host, as the creator of this event. And it would not be anything without the speakers that are gifting their time and gnosis and wisdom, and all of you who have registered and signed up to this. So yeah, please share this far and wide. Let's get the message out, and let's create the biggest round table that we can possibly create around our globe. Gorgeous. Oh, Anna-Mee, I've been thinking about you, Anna-Mee. Yes, I'm going to contact you in person again about this, and much more has been on my mind for months and months. Yeah, I've been thinking about you and your journey, Anna-Mee, so it would be wonderful to catch up. We'll do it the divine time. Yes, I trust that will happen. Thank you all. Over and out from rainy Scotland, from the place of the Collach Witch and the Celtic lands. Refuel before the next talk. Bye for now.